I'm Asani Smith, and you're watching Brothers Who Code. Today, I'm going to start you off on the basics of HTML and CSS. So, first things first, to start off on HTML and CSS, you need something that's called a text editor. And this is actually what we're going to be using to start coding in and use the coding language of HTML and CSS. So, you can go to, just search up on Google, Visual Studio, or go to visualstudio.microsoft.com, and you can come down here and download any version of Visual Studio, this one for anyone, and you can install for Windows, Mac, Linux, whichever computer platform you're on. You can download Visual Studio Code, and once you have that downloaded, you're going to need to go to your file manager and you need to create a new project. So just go here and press create new folder and just name it to whatever, make sure you have the file named. You want to have it in a folder. Make sure you can access that folder. You can put it inside of a folder, call that folder projects, then put another folder in there. Then that's going to be the folder where we're actually going to create this project. So I already have mine here. It's called HTML CSS, just a basic name. Doesn't need to be anything too fancy. Now once Visual Studio Code is installed and you have set up your files in the file directory, go to Visual Studio, press open folder, and it will take a second to load. Come into here and just find your folder, press select folder. Wait until it loads up. Alright, there we go. Now, once you come into here and you come in, now you've loaded your folder. So what you want to do here is you want to scroll over to this little sidebar and hit new file. It's going to be this little icon here. And you can't just name this file anything, because then it won't detect that it will be running code. It'll just detect text. So to do that, just first put in any name you want. So for mine, to keep it simple, I'm just going to put index, and then at the end put .html. And as you can see, the icon and everything changed. That means that it should be working. You really don't need any extensions for this at all. You can just start this up, instantly create your HTML folder, and then wait till it creates the folder, the file, Now we come into here, and you've started your basic HTML file, and what you want to do now is create something called an HTML boilerplate. And this is going to be the basic here, very basic HTML boilerplate. And there's actually an extension that you can install to create it for you, but you can easily just create it by yourself. I'm going to guide you step by step how to create it. So first, open brackets. This is a bracket symbol. It's mainly usually the start of every tag in HTML. And this exclamation point and document. Now you could create this through like a document, or you can just start off simple. Do this dash mark HTML, close it up, and then create closing tag. Every HTML tag has to have a closing tag, apart from a few. Just open that up. Now in here, I'm going to create something called a head tag. So this is a head. As you can see here, this head is not really that important right now, but just know that this is where things that involve the CSS will come in later, and that's where you can really get creative with it. But where we're actually going to focus is going to create this tag called a body tag. So just come here, body, close it up. It's going to create the closing tag for you. And now in this body tag and this head tag are going to be different elements. So for the body tag is actually going to be the page, the DOM. It's going to be the visualize of the page, and this head is just an extra element to link everything from different pages. So let's say you wanted to put some text on the screen of your page. So you would come here and let's say H1, which is just a big text. You could say hello. Now you're probably also wondering, how do we get this to show up on the browser? How do we get this code to visualize on the browser? Well, it's actually pretty simple. Just gonna small this up, and you take this little tab here, you're gonna drag it and then drop it in this new tab. It will take a second to load, and as you can see, it shows up hello. That's just a very, very basic text. Nothing too crazy, nothing too insane here. Now this body is just going to be where everything shows up. That's how the body works. And the head works in a way like this. So let's say you wanted to change this text here, this hello text. Say it's like too small. How do we make it bigger? Well, we use CSS for that. So you're gonna come here into the Visual Studio, create another new file, index.css. Doesn't matter what the first name is, just put .css at the end. You can name it the same thing as I am, you know, if you're following along. And you're probably wondering, what do we do in the CSS? Well, we're not going to come here right this second. What I'm going to do in this head is I'm going to put something called a link tag. So just to start, link and close. So now what you do in this link tag is inside of the brackets, after you space out from the link, you put style sheet. Now you're going to leave this empty for now. It's just style sheet. Leave that empty for now. And then you're going to put in herf and also leave that empty for now. Now in the style sheet, there's basically you want to put in the style sheet. It's actually not called style sheet. That's what we put in the tag. You want to put rel, and then in here you put style sheet. So just put rel equals and then the two quotation marks style sheet. And in here, this herf is you want to put whatever you named your CSS file. So I named it index.css, so I just want to put in here index.css, and now we've successfully linked the HTML to the CSS. So in here, since we want to target this H1, in here in the CSS, what you want to do is put H1, then put two brackets. These are brackets. They're little opening marks. Shift in this, and then it should pop these up. And next things that you want to do is, if you want to make them a bit bigger, you can say font size. And how you change the measurement of the size of the elements, change the size of it, you just want to use it by pixels. That's the measurement that you change it by in CSS. So let's say we want to change this to 40 pixels. Come here, refresh the browser, and it gets a little bit bigger, not that much. Let's see if I can change it one more time. 70 pixels. There we go. So now we have this big H1. You've changed it from the CSS, and the only reason why this is possible is because of the link tag, linking the HTML to the CSS, two different files linked together. And let's say, however, that we had a second H1 here. So put a second one here. And let's say this one is Go. So the second H1 is also here, but it also has the same style as this one. Let's say we want to make this one a bit smaller than this one. Well, how do we go about that if we can only target the H1? Well, that's actually not the only way you can target things in CSS. The next way that you should do, and I commonly recommend that you should do for most of your targets, is putting a class on them. So here, you want to space out in this bracket, right here in the H1, and put class, and have the equals and then little marks always. And then you want to put the name that you want to have target in the CSS. So this is text is hello, so we're going to put hello and uppercase. So now if we come into here, instead of targeting H1, we say dot hello, and the dot is how you represent your class name target. And if we come into here, this is only affected by it, not this. It only targets the specific element that you put a class on. And that's not the only way you can target specific elements. There's also IDs. So we put this here on yo and say ID equals yo. So if we come into here, how do we target the ID? We use a hashtag. So just put hashtag yo and put font size, say 50 pixels. PX stands for pixels, by the way. And there we go. It affects that element, and CSS can be used to target basically all these tags down here at the bottom. The body and anything in the body can be targeted in the CSS. So if I were to try to say cut these two up, the head is responsible for linking things and changing back-end things that don't really involve the page, and the body is the page that directly can be changed or had things added to it. Now, as you can see, the little mark over here is showing index.html. So how do we change that? With in the head here, if we come here, say title. If you put anything in here in this title, it'll change the top, the little tab name here, and adjust its name to be whatever you put in here. So let's just say HTML and CSS. So now reset and boom, changed it to HTML CSS. This is literally just touching the surface of what you can do with HTML CSS. So many complex websites have been built with HTML CSS, and it's the best starter language to start out any development wave you want to go. Whether if you want to do more computing servers or go back end, front end, all of it you start with HTML CSS. And eventually, if you get good enough, you can make sites like this. It looks like this, you know, you can target code, and make all types of different layouts and websites. So that's just touching the surface of it. And if you want to come back for more, I will be posting more episodes about HTML and CSS on this YouTube channel, Brothers Who Code. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more programming tutorials. And I'll see you next time.